Ariel. I'm here today with Skully Designs, and we're going to do a project every day for the next 365 days. Insane, I know. Last night was New Year's Eve, and I may have had one or two libations. So today we're going to keep it real simple. We're going to make some toasty hand warmers that you can reheat to keep your hands nice and warm throughout the winter. So let's get started. To make my toasty hand warmers, I have a few materials set out already. I have some flannel. I prefer flannel. You can use any heavy cotton fabric, but flannel will help keep your hand warmers insulated to keep them warm longer. I have a cutting mat, a ruler, a rotary cutter to help me cut the fabric. You of course can use regular scissors. Some pins just to help me pin them up when I'm sewing. I'm using my regular sewing machine, but you can also sew them by hand. I have a bag of rice, which I'm going to use to fill my pocket warmers, and a funnel to help put the rice in. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some of the fabric and I'm going to measure out and make some 5 by 5 squares and get them cut. So I have my fabric lined up and I'm just measuring it. I'm making 5 by 5 squares. I'm allowing room for my seam allowance, and I'm also going to take pinking shears to make a nice little edge when I'm done, so I'm allowing for that. But you can make yours any size you want. You want to make sure that the final product is small enough to hold in your hands so they serve their purpose as hand warmers. But you can do any shape, design that you really want. This project's really forgiving, so you don't have to be accurate. As you can see, my mat and my rotary cutter are pretty beat up and old, so it takes me a little bit longer. I should probably get my blade replaced. But I'm just going to make a bunch of these 5 by 5 squares, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I got a bunch of these squares all cut up and ready. I'm going to put them wrong sides together because I'm actually going to let the seams show on these. And the squares do look a little large for hand warmers. Since I'm going to use pinking shears to trim around, that's not going to be a big issue. But I'm going to make a 1-inch inseam along, and we're going to show our seams, so you don't have to worry about that. You can do them in a zigzag if you want it to be more decorative looking. You can also hand sew, like I said. I have this little magnet holder that I borrowed from my sister. I've had forever, which I really like because I can't do a straight edge to save my life. So I kind of use it as a guide so I don't go off. So I'm going to put these together, and I'm going to go approximately 1 inch in to start. So I'm 1 inch all the way around. And I'm just going to sew 3 of the sides right here, and I'm going to back stitch. It would help if I turned the sewing machine on, right? Okay, so I'm going to stitch on my back stitch to hold it a little. I'm going to go around, leaving about put the needle down and spin it 1 inch all the way around. So, and I'm a little over. Like I said, it's really forgiving, so it's really okay if you screw up, because I'm not a sewer and I screw up all the time. So I'm going to try to stop approximately where I did on the other side. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to pull it out and trim it. Trim my... So I have like a little pocket, and you can see part of a square. I'm going to use this pocket now, and inside there I'm going to put my rice, and I really don't need a funnel since I made it kind of larger than I had planned on. I'm going to fill it with rice, and then I'm going to sew up that square to make it complete. So let me sew these, and then we'll move on to the rice. I have my squares here. I have my rice which I keep in a bag just because I always spill and drop rice and I don't want to do it, and I actually even do it over a bowl. For smaller ones, these are larger, so for the smaller ones I would use the funnel. For these, I think I can just scoop the rice right in. See, as you can tell, I spill a lot of rice, so that's why I always have the bowl as a catch-all. And I am just filling them up. I want to leave enough room, about an inch I would say, in between where I need to sew, so that I don't compete or fight with the rice to sew them over. So that's where I'll actually pin it and make sure that I am stopping the rice a little bit from pouring out while I'm trying to sew. Normally for these though, I don't even bother with pins, just going across when I need to for the rice being added. You can also use barley beans, which work just as well. I prefer rice because I think it's softer and not as hard. Also, you can use shoes to make little shoe foot patterns so that you make foot warmers also. So like you can see, these are real basic and still rough. I just did a straight edge on mine. I didn't do a zigzag or fancy. But I'm going to continue filling these and then we'll move on. My squares are all pinned up and filled with rice, and now what I'm going to do is just do a straight line across with my sewing machine to match up the other part of the square and complete it and close it that I had started prior. So pull this needle out of my way. I'm going to move my straight line edge there for a second so that I can line them up, since they're all a little bit off since I was just judging them by eye. I am going to stitch forward and then back stitch on both ends to close it up and make sure it's tight. My seams are showing. That's okay. I want that look. And I'm going to go across. I am trying to be a little bit careful when I match them up so they're not going over, so that they match. Now, they're still a little primitive looking. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to sew the rest of these up and then we'll do our final step and our toasty hand warmers will be ready to go. So simple. We're all sewn up now, and basically it's like we got little bean bags, only instead of the beans we have rice. And I'm going to take a pinking shears, and the pinking shears has a little edge, so it's like serrated, just to give it a little decorative edge. And I'm going to go around, which is why I only did an inch, and just cut around to make the square a little bit prettier, simpler, and try to get it a little straighter. These are a little bit on the larger size. If you want them to like fit into your mittens and such, I would do them an inch or 2 inches smaller. But these I'm making just for around the house. And this fabric was given to me by my friend Eve. So these are going to be a gift to her for her family, but you can see the perfect size for your hands. You put them in the microwave now for no more than 30 seconds. I only put mine in for 15-20 seconds because my microwave's pretty high wattage. So I would start out with 15 seconds and see first how warm it gets, and you'll feel the rice will heat up and they'll keep your hands warm. And because we used flannel, it will stay warm for quite a bit. You could put them inside your pockets, inside your gloves, just hold them in your hands around the house. And they make for a great gift too. These turned out really cute. You can see with the little edges. You can sew them in heart shapes and cut around afterwards and make a little heart. You can do all different kinds. You can find these at Skully Designs. We should have our online store up soon. We've just been doing local shows as we get started. Check us out on Facebook, and we hope to see you soon. Stay tuned for tomorrow's project. Have a good one.